Don't let ego come into the picture.
Most of the time, we have this image of leaders, and we always think it has to be this overly confident that overpowers any room that they walk in.
Effective leaders are all humble leaders. If you're humble, you won't let your title and position get into your way of learning from other people.
But before we get into that, if you're watching on Spotify, go ahead and follow the show and drop a rating. If you're on YouTube, hit that subscribe button, like this video, and don't forget to tap the notification bell so you never miss an episode. And if you're on Facebook, make sure to follow my page, Joyce Pring, for updates and extra content. All right, let's get into it. Most of the work that you do now is really on public speaking, right?
I'm an independent director for retail and a Japanese company, but I do a lot of training all over the place. So my clientele would not only be, like for example, kanina, government siya. So Bangko Sentral, Foreign Service, DBP, ganun. So that's what I do. I do coaching, I do leadership training.
Yeah, I know, because you're the OG, Sir Francis. OG. Do you hear that often? People
Yeah, I
say?
do. So OG means
Original.
old goat.
Oh, but I wanted to start off with that because I don't know if you remember, but we met in 2016 at the Global Youth Summit here in the Philippines.
Now, what's Global Youth Summit? You gotta refresh my memory now.
It's a gathering of students from all over the Philippines, and para siyang event,
All right.
parang inspirational talks and everything. At that time, I think it was with SM. And I was invited as one of the parang mga small speakers. 2016 yun.
MOA.
Yes, in
Yeah,
MOA.
it's sponsored and organized by the SM Foundation.
Yes.
Okay, I remember that. Yeah.
And I remember I had only started, I started speaking to mga universities and places like that 2014, 2015. And then when I had that gig in 2016 and I found out that you were one of the speakers, I really felt so nervous. Because I was a huge fan going into that event because my dad used to talk about you a lot. He used to listen to a lot of your talks, probably your books. So I always knew Francis Kong, these.
I have something to confess, if you don't mind. I have many fans. Yeah. I have exhaust fan, electric fan, ceiling fan, and everything else. And to hear, it's not unusual for me to be hearing people like you telling me about our parents are such fans of yours. I'm used to that already.
But now, pero yun nga, I became a fan also because I always hear of the quotations that you would have. So I have a photo of us in 2016 because it was such a memorable experience for me. I posted this on my website.
Oh, wow. Hey, my hair is all black.
I know! Your hair was all black.
Ikaw ba to?
Yeah, that's me.
Oh my.
2016.
You're prettier now.
Wow.
Okay ba yun?
Yan,
Okay.
best comment yan. Good comment. Yeah, so, and when I watched you speak, I always thought that to be profound, you had to be serious. But when I saw you do a talk, I was like, pwede pala maging funny. And mas engage yung lahat ng tao because you inserted wisdom with humor. And I'm just wondering, has that always been the way that you did your talks, or was that something that you eventually just learned along the way?
That has been intentional from the very start. Kasi I think I am a serious student of human psychology and the way people think. So if you come up with a very serious issue, usually it's a very sensitive, thought-provoking, and it could be a trigger that someone who hears it might turn defensive. When they turn defensive, so as much as you want to deliver a message, when the defense system is already there, it won't come in, right? So I figured, teka muna, the more sensitive things that we are talking about, the more I need to be intentional in bringing down their defenses. So when you make people laugh, their defenses are down. So pag tumawa sila, ay, kikinig siya kahit na medyo masakit. And maybe sometimes that's the problem with messages from faith-based community. Yung pag pinag-uusapan yung something that is not pleasant, bibirahin ka ng bibirahin. So the people now turn out to be defense, possibly.
Mm.
So when you bring down their defenses, they're more likely, it's not intended to make them like you, but it's intended to bring them to listen to you a little bit more. So
Mm.
humor is powerful. I
Yeah.
know.
And I think it's also a way of connecting with people
Mm-hmm.
universally,
Oh
diba?
yeah, that's true.
And as they say, you can't really influence anybody unless they feel connected or
Yeah,
related to you
that's
somehow.
true. That's true.
So to share either your humor or struggle or,
Mm-mm.
you know, life experiences, it's really something that
And
connects to
and
people.
it also depends on the humor because your humor has to be aligned with what you're saying. And I've heard speakers just trying to be funny. They'll do toilet humor. They'll do obscene things, which is not. It's not a stand-up comedian that you're doing. But you're you're a communicator of truth.
Mm-hmm.
So the humor, sometimes the humor part is a lot harder to research on and to bring out rather than the main points.
Yes, because usually the funny ones are the smarter ones. So that's how I knew.
Agree.
That's how I knew. I was like, it's a good thing that I idolize this guy because very funny. That means he's very smart.
Agree.
So, Sir Francis,
Yeah.
you've spoken to probably millions of people at this point, right?
I don't count
Yeah.
anybody.
Do you still get nervous? Do you still have like that nerve wracking moment before you go in front of a crowd? Are there still things that you do to prepare for a talk, or do you just show up and the magic happens on
Well,
stage?
the usual discipline of being prepared with your material, understanding who your audiences are, what are their expectations, what are the things that needed to be said in order to address their needs. So one of the most important thing for a speaker and a trainer to understand is it's not about us. It is about what we can do to be able to solve their problems and fill their needs, right? So now, with the many experiences that I have had, I get nervous if I'm not nervous.
Hmm.
That means overconfidence is working. You're gonna cruise on your competence. You're just gonna wing it, and more often than not, the presentation turns out to be flat. So I don't
Hmm.
like that. Gusto ko yung there's a certain element of mystery, surprise. You don't know what's gonna happen, so it keeps you on your toes, and that's good
Hmm.
to be nervous. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. So, how many years have you been doing this?
Remember Noah and
That's
as
also
old
your
as Earth,
compare.
di ba? So what? 30 plus years, maybe?
Grabe.
Yeah,
Still
30
after
plus
30
years.
plus years, there's still
Yeah.
that. Well, the nerves is really a sign that you care for the thing that you're doing.
Yeah, I would say so because I think like when I started doing this, there was no social media.
Mm.
So I have had very good speaker friends that I have mentored who would say, "Why are you not monetizing?" And if you take a look at the profile, I mean, I've got a substantial following, diba? That's not the point there. That's not the
Mm.
purpose there. So the purpose now is to throw some ideas out there and hopefully can help people. And what about the rewards? I'm not getting money from social media. I get it somewhere else. But one of the most rewarding things that have happened is in all of us, 9 or 10 years of doing Facebook every day consistently, I have been given the privilege to minister to about maybe 9 or 11 young people who wanted to take their own lives.
Wow.
And I answer every single question. There's
Mm.
no assistance, no chat bot doing it. And I'm very much a guy when it comes to this. In fact, I've met about four of them in person.
Wow,
Uh,
that's
so
amazing.
it's a mission, eh, diba?
Mm.
It's something that you do. And I have been invited to endorse products with lucrative million peso involvement, but I had to say no. I do endorse, but only the products I personally use and I
Mhm.
believe in. Like just as recent as just this week lang, there's a very lucrative endorsement deal that's being given me, but immediately I have to say no. It has something to do with I don't believe in.
Mm.
Mga ganun.
You know, Sir Francis, I realize that a lot of young people face that kind of problem, but maybe in a different form, meaning a question of integrity. How do you, when you're faced with a challenge like that, especially for people, young people who are just starting in their careers and maybe they're out there, they're trying to grab as many opportunities as they
Mm-hmm.
can because they
Mm-hmm.
believe that's the only way to go. But in all of your
Right.
talks and in all of your books, the theme that I always see is purpose and having that kind of integrity to always look towards your purpose and
Mm-hmm.
not just the thing that you're doing right now. How do you do that for younger people?
I would love to use the quote of the lesser known brother of Walt Disney, which is Roy Disney.
Oh.
He says, if you have predetermined values, it's extremely easy to make a decision. So people mess up and they mess up in life when they are at the crossroad wherein they have to make a decision. Is this going to be a good decision for me? Am I going to make money out of this? So what's the cost of doing this? But if you have predetermined value, it's extremely easy to say, this is not for me. So now it all depends on the kind of values you have naman. Because in my leadership seminar, we have 52 values that we do an exercise and activity for people to determine what is theirs. And in a room of about 100 people, you will have about 70 values. So people have different values. So for me, if uh, if I would relive and rethink about what I've done, my set of values will always be anchored on scriptural values. Kasi I feel that it won't go wrong. So if your values is anchored on cultural values, they change it.
Mm.
If it's anchored on scriptural values, it stands the test of time.
Mm.
So I would suggest for young people, it is to determine first what your personal values are, and not just to determine it, but you got to live it. And you have the conviction, the bravery to say, values ko to eh. So I'm not gonna bend, I'm not gonna compromise. Now there's another aspect to that. What's wrong with compromising once in a while? Well, you have to understand that our character are like muscles also. You don't use it, you lose it. And secondly, you compromise a little, something inside us begins to die.
Mm.
It weakens. So those are, well, credit that to many years of experience and the many lives that I have seen and the people that I've trained and the businesses that I have witnessed. They all follow the same principles.
And with all of those years of not compromising, now in the season of your life, would you say that it was all worth it?
It's a bringing in and whipping in rewards, but still, every single day is still a test,
Mm.
whether you will compromise or not. And I'm not saying that. There are times when consciously or subconsciously you let your guards down
Yeah.
and then you make a mistake. But then, curiously, the next day when I'm doing quiet time, I'm confronted with it. Say, palpak ka yata kahapon. That's not right. So, Lord, forgive me. And then I'll make amends and rectify it.
I think that's the best and worst part of becoming a Christian. All of a sudden, you're so aware of the sins that you're making as compared to
Yeah,
before. You're just like
right.
cruising through life,
Oh,
making all these mistakes, and you can go on without anything bothering you. But it's
and,
the same, yeah.
and you're right. Before having a personal relationship with the Lord, the standard slogan is, but everybody's doing it anyway. And then having a relationship with Him, it's as simple as, but you're not everybody.
Hmm. And that's such an incredible calling to bear the name of Jesus now that you're called to have that relationship with Him. Sir, you've talked and you've trained so many leaders in the amount of time that you've been doing your trainings. Are there particular sets of skills or values or habits that you notice leaders practice that sets them apart from those who just survive and those who actually thrive?
Yes. There's a common there's a commonality
Mhm.
with the attributes of successful leaders. First, we have to establish the fact that all of them are competent. I mean, what's worse is being a leader with incompetence, diba? So if all of them are competent, which I suppose all of them are, or else it's very difficult to rise up to that position. The number one prevailing attitude or attribute I see in effective leaders is sounds corny, but it's humility. Then you attribute that to what Jim Collins is saying. Ang tawag po niya, the level 5 leader from multinational companies to SMEs to enterprises to nonprofit. It all boils down to the same thing. Effective leaders, level 5 leaders, according to his category, they are all humble leaders.
Mm.
And it all makes sense. If you're humble, you won't let your title and position get into your way of learning from other people. So, where's the scriptural value there? It's consider others better than yourselves.
Mhm.
So, you become a perpetual student. Secondly, you get to listen to your people. You don't let ego come into the picture. You won't say, boss ako eh. Mamaya, pag nakinig ako hindi sa taong to, edi mas mapapahiya ako. Hindi. So, and then they're vulnerable.
Mm.
I mean, that word alone made Brené Brown famous. Vulnerability becomes their source to credibility. The ability to say, mea culpa, it's my mistake. Forgive me, help me rectify this. So, pare-pareho. In different industries, those attributes come out. And you don't have to believe me. All you need to do is to study the book of Jim Collins, and he
Mhm.
has this metadata that produces that fact.
That's incredible. It's so incredible because most of the time we have this image of leaders or CEOs, and we always think it has to be this overly confident, this
Mm,
eccentric individual that overpowers any room that they walk in,
yeah,
but apparently not.
indeed. And sometimes the overconfident leader is just a disguise for insecurity.
That's a
Diba?
good one, yeah.
Oh.
Sir, you often talk about avoiding shortcut mentality.
Mm-mm.
And I think to have that kind of humble leadership, it also requires understanding that most of the things that are worth doing well, and
Mm-hmm.
most of the time they're difficult.
Mm-hmm.
What are some of the shortcut mentality things that you see a lot of young leaders or entrepreneurs make these days that you wish you can advise them on? It's something that I need to hear, perhaps.
These days, I'll give you an example. Discarte o diploma.
Ah.
And you yourself know that. Diba?
Yes.
And then the underlying psychology behind is that success is very attractive. Success is always visible. What is invisible is the process.
Mm.
What is hard is the process. When you find a person achieving some sort of success, you can determine nandun na eh. All the efforts done is now yielding result. Pero hindi mo nakita yung sacrifice, yung hard work, yung discipline behind. So now, maybe because of the short attention span, maybe because of the wrong TikTokers and
Do you
YouTubers they're
think social media
following,
has a part on
oh
it?
my goodness, it's a major part,
Yeah.
diba? So, and then you have all these people saying, kung gusto mong yumaman, ganito gawin mo. Those life hacks. This is what I say. You cannot hack your way through purposeful living.
Hmm.
You have to live it one day at a time, being meaningfully, intentionally, adhering to your set of values. And then, now that's the part that's invisible. So nakita nila, wow. I mean, I know of this speaker who used to follow me around. He wanted to be a speaker. So I have a heart for young speakers. I said, sige, follow me and then ask me questions. You can sit in my sessions. So nakita niya yung effect. Pero nag-shortcut yun eh.
Mm.
Falsifies claims, tapos uh, came up with a lot of achievements that are not there. Kung mali-mali naman ang turo, sabi ko, boy, that's not the way to achieve success. Ha? So, siya naman, oh, kuya, pasensya ka na, kuya, but he continues to do it.
Mm.
So, I have to be careful with people like that. They are attracted to the success. They're not attracted. They're not concerned with the process.
Yeah.
Uh,
Every girl has a dream to go to school, to be heard, to grow up free from fear. But for many Filipino girls, these dreams are out of reach. They face the harsh realities of early marriage, dropping out of school, and being silenced by poverty and inequality. But it doesn't have to stay this way. With your support, a girl can find her voice and speak up. She can learn, she can lead and rise, strong and fearless. She can say no to the things that hold her back and yes to the life that she truly deserves. We ask you to please join the movement to raise your voice for a girl and walk alongside her on her journey to empowerment. Sponsor a girl by October 11, International Day of the Girl, and be the reason she says, yes, I can, because girls can. Visit worldvision.org.ph to learn more. I was just at I had a talk yesterday and it was all about seasons. So one of the things that I talked about was everything in life comes in seasons. There's a time for
correct.
sowing, there's a time for reaping. And more often than not, especially in the time of social media, people don't really want to hear about the process
Mm,
of pagtatanim.
mm,
Nobody wants to see you doing the hard
mm,
work. They want
mm,
to see the summa cum laude title. They
mm.
want to see the number one speaker in the
Right,
Philippines, right?
right.
Or number one bestseller book.
Mm,
Because they know that the process took a lot of time, took a lot
right.
of effort, took a lot
Uh,
of energy, and
mm,
even sacrifices. And I think it's lauded on social media, all of these good things that you achieve. Pero
mm.
yung process, hindi
Oo.
talaga siya celebrated.
Hindi kasi appealing eh,
Yeah.
di ba? Yung bang gumising ka na maaga, hindi appealing yan. Yung bang magtrabaho ka, hindi appealing eh. Pero mayaman ka, di ba? Appealing. So, if you're a communicator, tapos you want to manipulate people, it's so easy eh, through social media. Madaling manloko eh.
You appeal to the instant
Correct.
gratification.
Oo. Kaya when people ask me about that, sabi niya, pwede bang yumaman na madali? Sabi ko, ano ka, ramen? Bakit? Ramen may instant eh.
Instant noodles lang.
Oo. Alright.
Yeah, but that's and I think when I see leaders who have made an impact on the world, as you said, there's always a pattern.
Mhm.
There's humility, there's sacrifice, that their level of competence and productivity is there, and they're driven by a higher purpose that they're all constantly looking at. Now, I know that there are a lot of young people who watch this podcast and they're probably listening here going like, okay, wag shortcut mentality. Okay, kailangan humble ka na leader. But how do you actually do that? When
Mhm.
you're a young person, you're just going into the workforce, probably you're even an employee. You're trying to
Mhm.
figure out, how do I lead my life in such a way that I can be proud of it if I
Mhm.
die tomorrow? How do I do that?
That's a great question. For all of you young leaders out there, I'm going to give you a trade secret of speakers. When the speaker says, that's a great question, wala pa siyang answer. Well, actually,
Buying time, buying time.
buying time. The key to understanding this is that if you're starting out in your career, you have to be very, very curious, which normally they are. But for the young people, especially today, you got to master your moods and emotions. Siyempre, when you're starting, you make mistakes. Pag napagalitan ka, hindi yung dahil they want your life to be difficult. Two reasons. Number one, na-pressure yung tao because if your mistake affects that person. Eh, pressure din naman yung iba eh, lalo na yung boss mo. Number two, they want you to learn. So one thing I learned from school is that all the hate that terrors na professors, they were the ones who helped me a lot eh. All the professors we love so much because they don't make us work. I never learned anything from them.
Yeah.
So so you have to understand na ano ba yung talagang overarching purpose nito? Is it to make my life difficult? Not necessarily, but they want you to learn.
Mm.
Second is you're liable to make mistakes. But mistakes, or what a lot of young people now term as failures, they're not, as long as you learn from it.
Mm.
If you learn from it, you got to substitute that word mistake and failure with another helpful word, which is tuition. You're investing in it. That's why you're learning. One more thing is, ito ang kulang sa marami. You have a lot of young people today who are not adept at communicating. So they're so quiet, they're there. People can read minds, cannot. So you have to be articulate, you have to take the boldness to step up and offer initiatives. Meron kang idea which you think can help the company or can help work, say it,
Mm.
offer it. And then two reasons. Number one, hindi sila sanay ma-communicate because of social media and everything else. Another one is, I'm so afraid na mamaya sabihin nila, I'm a
Teacher's
vacuum.
pet.
Oo, ganon. Hindi eh. I remember when I started out in my career, I was branded as super sipsip, papel ng papel. So, buti na lang early in my life, I realized na buhay ko to eh. Hindi
Mm.
naman buhay to eh. Pag ako wala akong makain, I won't expect you to help me. Therefore, your opinions would never define me. So in 2 and 3 years' time, I became their boss.
So good sip sip.
Oh, good sip sip. Then I make them suffer. Hindi naman. Hindi naman.
With a vengeance. A leader with a vengeance pala, no? No, that is amazing. I was recently reading something that talked about how when you know how to express yourself articulately through writing, through speaking, through communicating, you've solved probably 80% of your problem, because the 20% is really just equipping yourself so that you can talk about these ideas that you have, the changes that you want to make, and the way that you want to lead your team or lead your company.
Exactly.
And that's one of the things that most young people struggle with today. When I see the data on illiteracy in the Philippines, it's not even about hindi marunong magbasa or hindi marunong magsulat. It's hindi nila naiintindihan
Mm.
yung binabasa at sinusulat
Mm.
nila. And that's even more dangerous.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because it's one thing to be no read, no write. It's another to
Yes.
think that you actually understand what you're reading when you don't.
Right.
So it's
Right.
so important.
I have somebody who helps us in the home. Tinitingnan ko, sipag, grabe, ang galing. There's something wrong. When she was rearranging my books, yung iba bali-baliktad, red flag. Second, nakita ko ulit. And then I did not confront her directly. I just asked yung kasama niya. She doesn't know how to read, no? Sabi niya, hindi. Whenever I find people like this, I would sponsor their education.
Mm.
Here's the problem. Many of them refuse. Dadaan ka doon para magano. Yung sipag mo, nandyan na yan eh. Pero if you can just be literate, it propels you to a lot higher achievements, di ba? So, you're having this podcast, me doing training, me writing books, me being a columnist for the Philippine Star. What is our business? Communications. But what is the business behind our communications? Persuasion.
Mm.
We're in the business of persuading people, selling ideas, di ba? So if you're not articulate in that area, you won't be able to sell anything.
I'm a little taken aback because it's like you pulled the curtain for people to see that really behind communication is just persuasion.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's the ability to stand in confidence in what you're trying to communicate to people, which is what really draws them in to pay attention.
Correct, correct.
Sir, you often talk about, and I feel like it's counterintuitive for a lot of people, Francis Kong, leadership trainer. But you often talk about margin and resting and slowing down as part of this regimen of being a powerful leader, right? Was there something in your life that happened that kind of pushed you to be talking about that a lot? Or is it just something that you observed a lot of leaders did, that resting deliberately?
I have. I have a very strange concept of resting, which I don't advise people to follow.
Okay.
I'm constantly in motion.
Hmm.
Uh, my friends are here, my associates are here. They know how impatient I am. I want quick answers. I want to move. Even if you make a mistake, basta you move. Kasi when a person is in motion, even if it's wrong, mali, you can tweak it madali. But if you're not in motion, ang hirap You're not failing, but neither are you progressing,
Hmm.
which for me is worse. So early in life, I have discovered the concept of active resting.
Okay.
Mhm. So, rest for me, I've tried it. Oh, pagod ako ngayon because mental ang work natin, di ba? When you're up on stage, you're operating on adrenaline. Kaya after the talk, I crash. So, uh, it's mental work. So, how do I rest? So, sabi ko, oh, wag na muna. Cross out na muna itong araw na to so that I can rest. Tulog ako. And then I wake up groggy.
Hmm.
Hindi pala ganon. No, I'm not saying that you should be deprived of your sleep. Huh? In fact, I'm wearing a gadget here. It's called, I won't mention the name. It measures my sleep and my rest and my biochart and everything else. No?
Wow.
So, active resting now is, ito, magsusulat ako. Pak, wala nang lumalabas. Kahit anong pilit mo pa, wala talagang lalabas So, stop muna ako. I-rest ko ito. Pero hindi ako matutulog. Mag-PPS5 muna ako, NBA. And then I custom made my own team. Kaya puro 99% ang galing nila para panalo ako. And then after that, pak, balik. Labas na yung creative juices mo. So
Mm.
it's kind of a active resting. But I eat healthy. I try as much as possible to have about 6.5 to 8 hours sleep. But I often miss the 8 hours. Kaya my device has a tracking program that says your sleep is fair. Yesterday it was bad. The other day was optimal. And I track it. And here's the funny thing. My rest includes my regimen. I take about 25 pills of vitamins every day.
Wow.
So at my age now, I'm not under any maintenance.
That's
Anything.
amazing.
Tsaga talaga, tsaga.
Grabe yun, ah. Ano kayang secret ng mga tao sa generation nyo? I mean, it's incredible because I see a lot of young people who now struggle with their health, and then I see a lot of people who are much older than us that have better health. And I think it's really that. It's you see that there are regimens or they've
Mhm.
created systems in their lives that
Right.
support the life that they
Oo,
have.
oo. We always say, kasi discipline siya.
Yeah.
Correct. But discipline rests on the foundation of routine.
Yeah.
It's routine that keeps you disciplined Kaya ako talagang boring ang buhay ko. So some young people will say, "So Francis, can I live with you for at least 1 week lang? I want to learn from you." So you stay with me 2 days, you're gonna get bored to death. It's the same thing I do every day. Di ba?
So what does that look like if you don't mind me asking? What would a typical day for you look like?
Wakes up in the morning, the whole household knows I'm up because I open my mobile university to an audible book. Even when I'm brushing my teeth, I'm listening because I don't want to waste precious time. I want to be learning something. Kaya minsan, uy, ang ganda niyan Nakalimutan ko ilabas, di ba? Uy, ang ganda niyan. And then after that, I get out of the bathroom. I turn it off. I open my laptop and do my quiet time. And it's very sensible and very logical because if your inner strength is strong, you can meet the outer challenges.
That's so good.
With that done, I I have no interest in showbiz. Sorry. My interest is in news. Nakabukas na agad yung news ko. And you don't have to watch those guys kasi those are talking heads. Every day they look the same. You just listen to them and then you do your for exercises and ritual. At my age right now, puro low intensity na lang. And of course, don't forget to take the vitamins and everything else. My attire is always prepared the night before. Para hindi,
Mm.
hindi pala bagay ito. Ay, nagmamadali ka. So, it's always like that. And then after that, spend the most important creative hours in the morning to do creative work.
Mm.
Don't do administrative work because your mind is fresh. You do administrative work. What are they? Answering emails, following up stuff. You do that only about after you've done creative work. When your energy begins to wane, that's when you do that.
Takes less brain power.
Yeah, it's always the same thing.
I always ask that question when I meet people who interest me, who I find fascinating, because they always have a certain harmony and flow in their lives that they follow through, and they always say the same thing. Oh, boring and boring. But I find it fascinating because when you think about habit linking and the way that
Mm-hmm.
people create systems to be able to
Mm,
achieve anything, that's really what you want to do. And
right.
when I started having toddlers, they
Yeah.
thrive on routine.
Oh, yeah. Kids.
My
Yeah.
kids, every morning we do the same things over and over again. At night it has to be the same thing. It's dinner at 5:30, you start taking a bath at 6 p.m., 6:30 we're reading books,
Mm-mm.
6:45 lights off, and they're asleep on the dot by
Mm-mm.
7 p.m.
Mm-mm. Yeah, that's true. I have grandkids now. Eh.
Yeah.
If you disrupt their routine, they get upset. No, di
Yes.
ba? And you get upset too because
Mhm.
they won't sleep. So following that routine is extremely. One friend of mine says, "Alam mo, pare, I figured it out. How you're able to do 300 seminars and talks every year." He says, "Some people are saying you're so dismal." Ako nahuli na kita eh. I was observing. Sabi ko, what? You have discovered the rhythm. Tama, di ba? Yung routine and everything. You follow a rhythm. So you expand that concept. Why is it that people who are so driven and career people, then when they retire and they have this faulty concept of now I can rest, they deteriorate
Mm.
because that rhythm is broken. Eh. Sira na yung rhythm nila. Eh.
Mm.
Kaya me at my age right now, I still want to maintain the rhythm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the secret to longevity, they
Mm,
say. Sir Francis, since we are in the topic of family,
mm.
I know that you're a voracious reader, but with all of the people that you've met, the books that you've read, is there something that you've learned from your own family or raising your children that you never learned from those books?
Oh, obviously, and absolutely right. The lessons that I've learned from my own family, my parents, are exactly the lessons I'm teaching not to do with their family now. Uh,
So they're unlearning there.
yeah, there's a lot of unlearning. Driven without knowing the end goal, not really understanding life, but wanting to get because they work hard. In fairness, they're not rich, eh? So whatever it was obviously they're sacrificing for us. But then that added pressure na dapat yumaman ka para makabawi naman kami. That's
Mm,
not a very good thing. So when I learned that, one more thing I learned is Chinese ang background ko, di ba, community. They're not expressive people. Eh. My dad passed at 80 plus, my mom passed at almost 80. I have never heard any one of them talk to me and say, I love you. Wala yan.
really?
Chinese people are not expressive.
Mm.
And so sabi ko, why? Can't you even say that, di ba? And you know, the typical Chinese family is this. Eh? The, the typical Chinese family is this. So, pa, how come you never say I love you? I give you food, I give you education, I give you, what else do you want, di ba? Sabi ko, mali eh. So, when it's my time to have my own family, hindi pwede yun. So when Brian, the guy with the restaurant, and Hannah, the designer, were growing up, and Rachel, I would purposely time, pag nandun sila, Then I'll bring and hold the Ilocana, that's my wife, embrace her, and do hardcore lips to lips. That's when
I'm sure they love that.
they roll their eyes, and then Hannah will say, "Get a room, Dad, get a room." But now that they have their own families, they know how to express emotions. It's so important, diba? Children crave for that.
Why do you think so, Sir Francis? I mean, you're right. And I think it's a lot of Filipino families also na binibigay namin lahat sa'yo. Ano pa bang hinihingi mo?
Mm.
Why do you think it's so important for children to hear those words and to see that kind of affection from their parents?
I remember somebody says, "What? What's your problem? I've given you everything you need." So the child wisely replied and said, "Yes, but you've never given us what we want."
Mm.
That's a different thing. When you say what you need, usually you talk about the economic requirements that they need: food, shelter, clothing, and everything else. Maslow's hierarchy. But then even Maslow's hierarchy deals with self-realization at the
Mm.
top. What they want is affection. What they want is relationship. What they want is assurance. What they want is love expressed. And that's not what they're getting. So there's a big difference between needs and wants. Kaya my advice now, but in fairness, many Chinese families now are better. They're more
Mhm.
modern. Maybe there are more books to read now,
Yeah.
and
Probably
they.
grabbed one of your books.
Oh, I wrote a book together with my son when he was 19 years old,
Mhm.
and pareho kami naka-jeans yung cover, and the title of the book is "Why Don't You Grow Up, Dad?" Oh, it was a good book. Yeah,
Mm.
it was good.
One of the things that I find so fascinating with your journey specifically is how you've protected your marriage with the Ilocana.
Mm,
And
mm,
that you mentioned that one of the thing that you're most proud of, apart from all of these achievements that you've had, is really your marriage with her, how you've protected her. And recently, I don't know if you saw this, the CEO at the Coldplay concert
yeah.
that was trending. What would be your advice for, I guess, young married couples like myself and Wancho, who you've met and
Yeah.
did an event with,
Oh.
to protect our marriages as well from stumbling? Because when that was happening on social media, and people were, of course, making fun, making memes, making videos, it really bothered me as a person who is married, as somebody who is raising a family, because I saw it and I didn't make fun of that CEO. I saw it as anybody could have been that person.
Correct.
I
Correct.
could have been that person.
Right.
If I'm
Right.
not careful, if I'm not
Mm-hmm.
protecting my marriage enough, that level of mistake is something that could be afforded to any of us if we're
Mm-hmm.
vulnerable or frankly stupid enough. So, how do
Yeah.
we avoid that? How have you done that with your own life?
Well, the advantage I have is that Lila is my high school sweetheart.
Ah,
Yeah. And we went 9 years of engagement before we got married. Yeah, I
wow.
forgot to marry her. Her father reminded me. And I don't know, but I also had my own fair share of crazy things that I was doing when I was younger. But somehow I thought about this. I said, she will not only be my wife, she's going to be the mother of my kids.
Mm.
So, in other words, with her, I'm extremely serious, but I haven't met the Lord at that time, going out with business people, doing some crazy stuff. But I was always go home and say, this is the mother of my kids, with that in mind. And then as I began to learn to read more literature, and then I had a relationship with the Lord, I just realized that marriage are designed in heaven, but the maintenance work has to be kept on earth. You got to work on it.
That's so good.
You don't just expect that to automatically happen. You got to work on it, right? So now, I the reason why I want to stay faithful with her is not just because I have a name I have to protect, not my name. But if I tell people I'm a serious follower of the Lord Jesus Christ, then I'm not supposed to be doing things that are against His will. So that's number one. Number two, I don't want to make my children feel insecure, because one of the most stabilizing thing is that the kids will know that their father will never have the possibility of one day will no longer go home.
Mm.
That's how secure the kids are. Kaya kita ko yung confidence ng mga anak. Eh. They don't have to second guess and to be
Yeah.
afraid. So usually when people get into flings and they get into these experiences, they don't start with bad thing. They feel like number one, all men are born, fill in the blanks, polygamous. Yan ang thinking. Number two, this is just a one-night stand or this is just a fling lang naman. But it can lead to other things. Sabihin na lang natin one-night stand yan, but you and I today are living in a 24/7 reality show eh. Katulad ng CEO. Huli. Imagine the effect of that on the kids.
Mhm.
So, and then you let your business mind begin to make a transaction. Whenever you do a business decision, you always weigh the cost and benefit. What is the benefit? One night of pleasure? What is the cost? Family destroyed?
Mm.
Not worth it. Lugi ka eh. Lugi ka rito. So I guess that's so so I guess that's been that kind of thinking that governed the way I think and say, alam mo, corny ah. Uh, in the workplace, people will make fun. Oh, for the boys, pare, Friday. Sabi ko, hindi na, uwi na ako. Oh, takusa, takusa. Takot sa asawa. Sabi ko, oh, takot ako. Di ba? Oh, ganun, ganun. So what? So I go home to my wife and now many of these guys, their marriages are in trouble. Eh.
Mm.
Kita ko siya eh. But you never begin with saying, I want to destroy my family. It's just, normal lang naman yan eh. Diba?
Mm.
One night lang naman yan eh. It goes deeper.
Yeah. And you know that kind of thinking of actually hiding the reality all the way to the back of your mind is what I saw when I saw that video. When the camera, when they saw that somebody was watching them, parang biglang poop, lumapit sa
Mm.
front ng brain nila na
Mm-mm.
there is shame, there is guilt because you
Right.
know it's wrong.
Right.
But you've put it at the back of your head so much. You're right. You don't consider the
Mm-mm.
cost. You're just
Mm-mm.
thinking about the benefit. You're thinking about how it makes you feel. And you're not considering the cost. You're not counting the cost. And that at that moment, they saw the
Mm.
cost of what they're
Correct.
doing.
Correct. And as G.K. Chesterton himself would say, what you're afraid to appear in public, you don't do it in private.
Mm.
So, may repercussions talaga yan. Eh.
Mm.
So, yun, medyo maingat ako doon.
Mm.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sir Francis, for
You're
that.
welcome.
I feel like I could go on for 2 more hours, but at the expense of everybody here. So let's just do a final fast facts for today. Since every time I see you speak, it's all about principles. It's having these set principles, following those principles. I'm going to give you a few words, and then when I say the words, I would like for you to talk about the principles behind them.
Oh, that's a tough one.
We'll try to make it quick.
All
You're
right,
very
all
smart,
right,
so we'll see.
okay.
Failure,
Tuition,
success,
static, non-static, I mean, moving target.
business,
Service,
marriage.
mother-in-law. No, I'm just kidding. Marriage
That's what
is
you have to consider.
partnership.
Social media,
Tool. A tool for good and a tool for evil. Yeah.
leader,
Influence.
okay, and legacy.
I don't have it. Because now this entails a longer explanation.
Okay.
Legacy is what will you leave behind? Sorry, I don't care what I leave behind. A legacy is what someone will give it to you when you're gone. What I care about is what I do now. And whatever it is I'm going to leave behind, will it benefit them or not? That's another story. So I'm freed from the pressure of trying to come up with a building with my name on it because that's my legacy. I'm freed from the feeling of I have to leave something behind. As some friends of mine would say, Francis, ang dami mong content. Dapat naka-digitalize ka na. May course ka na and everything. Yeah, that's your legacy. That's their way of saying, pakpatay ka na, di ba? Maiiwan. Hindi. I don't know. That's just me. That's just me. Maybe I'm wrong. Pero I'm so concerned with now and the future so that whatever it is I do, and if people find it useful, that's good. If not, nasa kanila naman yan.
That's an eternal perspective right
Right.
there. I love that. And finally, Sir Francis, you've taught us so many things today. Is there one thing that you're still learning at this point in your life?
Oh, yes. My kids are all grown up. But if I have younger kids, and this is what I've learned that I want to share to the parents with teenagers, never mess around with a teenager who has chat GPT. Hindi ka makakalusot dyan. You better be truthful.
Kinabahan ako bigla because I'm gonna have two kids with Chat GPT at their disposal. So that's hard. Sir Francis, thank you so
You're
much for
welcome. Thank you
making
for having
time.
me.
That was great. I mean, I knew it was going to be fruitful, but that went beyond any
Thank
expectation.
you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.